Alright troops, strong and conditioned, live and direct. So I want to talk about a specific training program. I've always meant to make a video about this and kind of relate my experiences with it and how I have used it in the past and what I am currently doing right now, because it's quite relevant with regards to my training system as of late. Now, Tactical Barbell is a book that was written a good few years back now. It was written by a gentleman called K Black, and it was aimed primarily at folk who are first responders, as they call them in America, like emergency services, army, soldiers, that sort of population. And it's basically a strength and conditioning template, which kind of focuses on cardio and lifting, more lower rep stuff depending on the actual template you choose. And it also has a sequence called the base building block, which gets people ready for the actual program itself. Now, to start off, I would argue that the Tactical Barbell books are probably pound for pound the best books you can buy on training. Now, when I say training, I mean just developing what capacity, strength, endurance, just becoming a fitter individual overall. It doesn't really focus on one modality. It kind of spreads them all over the place over time, which is excellent. And it can be a shock to the system for guys who have come from, say, a powerlifting or a bodybuilding background who want to try something radically different in some respects, and that's where base building comes in. Now, there are two books that originally came out to my knowledge. There was Tactical Barbell 3rd edition and there was Tactical Barbell 2 Conditioning. Those two books go hand in hand with each other. They're synonymous with each other. They form the program, the original Tactical Barbell program. And I'll go into that in a bit further forward. Now, obviously when K Black wrote this, he wanted to make that transition from guys who were powerlifting or bodybuilding, and they wanted to get into the more endurance, running, cardio side of things to go along with their lifting, to scratch the lifting itch. And that's what the base building block was for. And that was my first introduction to Tactical Barbell. Now, I originally don't know what put me down the Tactical Barbell path. This was years ago. I'm talking about 2017, around about that region, 2018. However, I was very glad that I found it, because it was probably one of the most profound training experiences I ever went through in my entire life. Like K Black set out a system which involved just keeping the heart rate in a certain zone, and allowed a guy like me who has never been a runner, right? I don't have the leg length to run. It's hard for me. I've got short legs, and running's something I always avoided. However, the reason I avoided it was because it was very demanding. Anybody who knows running knows that running takes it out of you, man. Like, I don't care what anybody says, weights doesn't even touch the damage, doesn't come near the damage that running does. Like, if you do, like, say for example 5 400 meter sprints, you are toast for the rest of toast. Whereas if you lift weights, you're probably just like, oh man, Mick, oh. But if you do a bit of hard running, man, you are toast, man. You are iced for the rest of the day. So the base building block allowed people to build that capacity by having a system that was easy to adhere to, and allowed you to stay within a certain heart rate zone and build up that capacity over time by building up the aerobic base, which was the point of base building up the aerobic base at the start. There was two templates in the base building block, actually. There was the strength one and there was the strength endurance one. Now, the strength endurance block in particular was my first introduction to high rep training. When I say high rep, I don't mean like doing sets of 15 on the bench. I mean like going up to the sets of 30, 40, 50. Anyone who's done a base building block will be able to attribute to the strength endurance sessions when they hit the 50s. That's something you have to read the book on, but once you hit the 50 mark on the strength endurance, man, that is a wake-up call for a lot of guys, particularly guys who have indulged in sports where reps are low. When they do that first week where it's the 350, that lives with you, man. That is a profound training experience, to the point where I think people actually fear going into that workout because of what comes before it. But it sets you up beautifully. And by that point, you're running for about 60 minutes 3 times a week as well, which is a milestone for a lot of people, an absolute milestone. So that was my first introduction to the base building block. That was the wake-up call for me. My eyes were open, because I came for that powerlifting style of training, the Joe DeFranco, and to go into that base building block was an eye-opener. An eye-opener. Now, the reason that I made this video was because I have started a tactical barbell style training template again. And I'll go into this a bit deeper. However, I want to kind of go back to after the base building block. After you've done base building, you choose a template from Tactical Barbell and you roll with it for like 6-9 weeks, and then you can start making adjustments. However, the beautiful thing about Tactical Barbell is that it kind of pushes the idea of the framework, which is something I deeply believe in when it comes to training, which is establishing a framework, or having a framework and building from the framework. And in some respects, I'm not convinced anymore that programs, it's arrogant for me to say that programs don't work. They obviously work for people, but for me, they don't work. For guys like me, they don't work. We need variety. We need to be, our stimulus needs to be constantly changing. Not just the weights, the activity, the stimulus, the visuals, everything. That's just the way I'm wired, and that's what I need to find in my training. And a training program like Tactical Barbell allows that, because it's constantly shifting. You're constantly shifting the program over time. You start making the necessary tweaks to make it work for you. However, the template remains the same. It's quite rigid in that respect, but you can play about with things. And you can find a template that suits your lifestyle. So that's also the beautiful thing, because when K Black wrote this, it was obviously like first responders don't have a lot of time. Like, they're always on call, so training situations or training opportunities can become limited. And Tactical Barbell is kind of geared towards that. It's no frills training. It's like, just get up, do the shift, and get back to your life, which I love. I love it. It's for guys like me who want to scratch the itch. In some respects, that's what I also get from Tactical Barbell, because it establishes that framework and allows you to build on the framework. Now, I can't go into it too much because it's a series of books you buy. I wouldn't want to divulge in too much information. But the one thing that always stood out to me was that once I had done like a year or something of Tactical Barbell, I moved on to something else. But I always had this kind of loyalty to the workout itself, because I had just developed such an affinity with it, because the base building block was so profound. And it was always something I shouted from the rooftops about. I was always telling people Tactical Barbell. Now, what really hit me hard was that I always seen Tactical Barbell as, and this is no disrespect to the program, but a retirement style program. Now, what I mean with a retirement style program is that you do programs throughout your training, like life, your training career, or whatever you want to call it. You'll do like a 5-3-1, you'll do a bodybuilding, you'll do West Side Barbell, you'll do Joe DeFranco, like, just for example, you'll do these things. However, there's one you're always going to come back to settle on that can you can just kind of do for the rest of your life. And Tactical Barbell was always in my head, that program. It was the retirement program. Not retirement in the sense where you go to Florida and you just kick back and enjoy life. Retirement in the sense that that's it. I'm not changing the boat anymore. I'm kind of going to just stick to this, because it just works everything, and it's going to allow me to become a well-rounded individual. So with that in mind, I noticed that Jared Miller had started Tactical Barbell. Now, anybody who's familiar with the history of my channel knows that I am the biggest Jared Miller fan out there. I've not spoke to him in a while. No, I've not really communicated a lot recently, but I'm always looking to see what Jared's up to intermittently whenever I'm online or something to that effect, because Jared's he's just an awesome guy, and he just gets it. He gets it. I envy Jared's mindset in some ways. He gets a task in his head and he sticks to it. He's the complete opposite of me in some respects. I'm ADHD fueled when it comes to training, whereas a guy like Jared is quite stable and sticks to things. Doesn't question the program, does it as it's written. doesn't get caught up in the overthinking thing. Anyway, Jared had started a tactical barbell block, and like that kind of, like when I seen that, I felt, I don't know if Jared will take this offensively, but I felt proud of Jared in some ways. I thought it was heartwarming to see Jared move over a tactical barbell. And it gave it even more, it validated the program even harder in my eyes when a guy like Jared Miller decides to take it up. And if you actually read Jared's recent postings, his video, you can see he is, I would assume he's built that affinity with the tactical barbell program. So when I seen that, it kind of lit a fire in my head, or it kind of get the ball rolling. Now, I've had to come to terms with my approach to training as of late. Obviously, there's been an upheaval in my life in the last year. My circumstances have changed, and I've had more time available to myself, and that's allowed me to explore other avenues of training. But it's also allowed me to come to the realisation that I've got kind of issues when it comes to training. I'm very, I don't stick to things, and that was always bugging me. But I'm having to learn to embrace that, and I felt that Tactical Barbell was a program that would allow me to embrace that, because as I've already said before, it sets the framework. Now, with regards to how I train as of this day, because a lot of burpee guys out there might want to know how I train. I'm going to explain to you right now how I have basically taken a template from Tactical Barbell, just a template, right? I'm not following the rules set by Tactical Barbell in a sense where there's a rigid lifting program in there with a certain rep scheme, and I don't really want to do that, but it's no disrespect. But the thing is that Tactical Barbell wouldn't get offended by that, because it's almost encouraging me, that's fine, take the template, do it as we lay it out, but you can do what you want in those sessions, or you can focus on certain things. So I've had to go back to like a full body training session. Why? Because I've had to take the onus away for building muscle, because building muscle is not important to me anymore. I'm having to make peace with that. I like to look good, but building muscle to me, that game's over. That game's over. I'll still do things that might facilitate the process, but building muscle to me is just pointless now, because it's not going to enhance my life in any shape or form. I know that deep down, nothing changes when you've got muscle. You just start to go down a rabbit hole, and you start to apply tons of work for a little return. With that in mind though, I'm always still going to lift weights, okay, but I'm lifting weights just to be strong and just to cover a base, scratch an itch. I don't like going to the gym. I don't like working out in a gym anymore, and why would I? I work in a gym as well, so it doesn't make sense for me to like work in a place and go, it's constant. But I need to do it, and I've accepted that. So I go in and I thought a full body, no thinking, and I kind of took elements from the Wizard by Faz Lifts, amazing full body program, but I just applied a 5x5 structure at the start of it, just to kind of give me that sort of strength and the work that scratches the itch, the assistance work. So that's the full body program. There's no set format. I go into a gym and I just kind of try to hit the same muscle groups with the same exercises and kind of stick to the same rep schemes. That's it. Now, that will happen 3 times a week. 2 of the other days will be devoted to more high intensity work. High intensity work such as burpees and kettlebells, burpees in the assault bike, burpees, conditioning circuits, chin-ups, push-ups, dips. 2 of those, but I want to focus on getting the heart rate up past the 150 mark into zone 5 and kind of keeping it there for 20-30 minutes. That's probably the purpose of those 2 days. And the last day is another one that's kind of took me down a rabbit hole and opened my eyes again, which is running. I've decided to spend a day running. My girlfriend likes to run, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to start running again. So one thing that was beautiful about the burpees was that it's kind of gave me a good aerobic base. So I went for a run like a few weeks ago, first one, and I managed to 11k without stopping at any point. So it was like a 60-70 minute run. Just kept going, brilliant. In fact, I was so high at the end of it with the cardio high that I was convinced I could run a marathon. My girlfriend was actually going to sign me up that night, because I was walking about the house in a daze saying, I could do a marathon, man, sign me up. But then I went a second run and I realised I probably couldn't do a marathon. But I just, what running does to your brain, man. Running gives you that cardio high, which is why the base building block was so profound. The base building block was so profound because it gave you access to that cardio high. You don't get a lifter's high. It doesn't exist, man. It doesn't exist. You walk at a gym like, ugh. Whereas after a run, man, you just know. Anyway, listen guys, so that is where I have ended up at this point. For anybody that's interested in how I'm training at this point, it's basically a 6-day structure. Oh, and the last day is a day which I do whatever I want. If I want to go for a long walk, I'll go for a long walk. If I want to do some push-ups, I'll do some push-ups. I'll just try and remain active. I might go climb a hill, I might walk, I might go for like a zone 2, 30, 60-minute session on the assault bike. Just something to keep me ticking over and keep the body moving, but it's not going to stimulate the body. It's just going to kind of just keep the body in motion, because that's something I've always also believed in, which is the daily activity. Alright guys, so the basic premise of the letter is, or the video, sorry, is Tactical Barbell. I'm back in a Tactical Barbell train. It's a program that I thoroughly recommend. It's pound for pound the greatest series of training books out there. It's kind of grew arms and legs over time. There's a mass protocol one, there's a green protocol one. The green protocol one's one that I'm starting to eye up. It's the only one I haven't read, actually. It's the only one I haven't purchased. And it's because running's kind of starting to filter its way in. But I've got other ideas coming up as well. I think you're kind of going to be shocked at the route this channel's going to take over time, by the way. Anyway, guys, once again, it's right. So actually, I wanted to go into like just say a big thank you to the people who have been commenting lately and giving me a bit of support, man. Because this is going to sound ridiculously cheesy as well. I don't mean it to be cheesy, right? But there was a point I was going to quit this, man. And I get emails, I get messages, I get DMs, and there's guys that are just talking about how like I've helped them start burpees, man. I cannot begin to stress how much that means. That's the thing that there's two things that keep me going with this channel. I'm not going to tell you the other one because it's a bit crazy, right? But that's it. It's that one. It's the guys that write me messages and tell me, man, like you were not like. There's times I've thought, I cannot be bothered with this anymore, man. But when I get any messages, man, they hit hard. Even though I don't reply to every comment, it's hard to do that nowadays because you get these comments and times of the essence. But guys, I really appreciate it, man. I seriously do. Listen, guys, thanks for sticking with me anyway, man. When like I wasn't really posting much, I really appreciate it, man, deeply. Anyway, listen, thanks for staying strong and thanks for staying conditioned.